Hey everybody, I wanted to come on here and talk about this whole first month of medical school because it's officially a whole month since I've been in school. It's August 31st. It's also kind of early in the morning, but not really. This is like usually when I wake up. My classes start at 8. I don't know if I said this before, but I'm taking, that's my alarm to like make sure I'm up and getting like ready, my breakfast, my coffee before classes start. Today I have an off day, but I usually have a bunch of classes, mostly morning classes and afternoon labs. We're taking like a biochemistry, molecular fundamentals kind of class, and we're taking anatomy, of course. That's why I'm always in the lab. We have our osteopathic like principles and manipulative medicine course. We also have a course that like tells you how to practice kind of, and so right now we're doing history taking and things like that. And the reason I do have a day off today is because my roommate and like literally my whole entire class is going today, but I'm going in like 2 weeks with my group, and it's basically the class where we have to learn how to deal with patients, like have empathy, whether it's taking the history, learning how to do the soap note, like that is the class that we learn it all in. And then we have a class about like professionalism, and we don't always have that class, but we do have it sometimes. I also am taking histology, and it's kind of interesting. A lot of people start school with like a huge knowledge, whether they were a scribe and so they know all the abbreviations to like shorthand some of the doctor's notes, or maybe they did have a histology class or anatomy class. Maybe they, you know, worked with sheep in their anatomy class or something like that. And so I didn't have any of that. I was not a scribe. I don't know the lingo. I was not in an anatomy class. I was not in a physiology class. I mean, like, I understand how the body works briefly, fundamentally, like basically the most basic understanding, and I'm literally learning from scratch. Like right now we're doing the heart, and we're doing, what else? We're doing the heart and like the pleural cavity. Like I never went through that in depth in college. I took biology, chemistry, orgo, physics. I didn't take genetics. I didn't take any of that stuff, but I'm really liking the material, and it's okay if I hadn't started with all of those previous experiences that some of my classmates have had, because if anything, I'm like really geared in and I really have to study, and I'm making sure I have the fundamentals. And it's really good because my group of friends, we always hang out and we always are like here. My house is usually where we all like eat and come together and study and watch videos. And yesterday we studied, and we ended up watching this cool show. It's like an animated Japanese show called Cells That Work. I always want to call it Cells That Animate. Cells That Work. And it's basically a cartoon character, it's basically a cartoon world of the human body and like cells. So they have red blood cells, like always moving oxygen or carbon dioxide, and then, you know, you got the neutrophils that come and they fight off the day. And it kind of gives me like Pokemon vibes, but I love it. It's so good. And so we watched maybe 3 episodes last night, and we went to Sonic and got mozzarella sticks, and we got sweets, and we got ice cream. And so I really like my group of friends, and I'm really so blessed that like we're all like in the same headset. We're not like, you could definitely see in medical school there's some people who have a great like life school balance, like to party, people who can like not just afford but like schedule their time to go on vacations and things like that. There's a lot of people, a lot of personalities, a lot of things happening, and not everything that someone else is doing is something that you need to do. Like right now I am obsessed with Anki. Like I'll be doing Anki. I'll do like hundreds of cards a day, and my roommate's like, how do you do that? And I'm like, I use Anki to make sure I'm not missing any information. Like I'm gonna be going through and, you know, making sure I get what I need to know, you know? And she uses it more so to understand the smaller topics, just for like refining all the things that she has in her brain. And so when I use Anki, it's like I can either learn it from scratch just using Anki, and then I'll go back to the PowerPoint and make sure like, oh yeah, I understand that, I don't understand that. And the most important thing for me is like that I remember all of the information. It's not like I don't want to know it in its entirety. I just want to make sure like, okay, we have the, I don't know, this growth factor. I want to make sure that in application I can use this, I don't know, signaling pathway in another problem or in another disease, another dysfunction, because I'm supposed to know this as the fundamental, and then I can go back and like I can figure out, okay, this enzyme is the one that's dysfunctional. Okay, this downstream pathway is the one that's dysfunctional. And so the way I learn, like I said, is different than how other people learn. I really like what I'm doing. I can try and like I can try and tell you what I'm doing, but like it's a little bit difficult because I'm trying to figure out what works best for me. Like looking at the PowerPoint slides of different histo slides and stains really works for me. And with my last test I did fine, but I want to make sure that I'm like looking through that PowerPoint closer to the exam, not so farther away. You don't want to fall behind in class, but you also need to like leave some brain space for certain things that are like coming about. So the first couple of weeks of class, because we're going into our 5th week of school, we all were talking about just the fundamentals of OPP, like indirect and direct techniques and things like that. And it's like our exam is next week. So why am I gonna cloud my brain with all of that stuff right now? It's not that it's bad to cloud my brain, but I want to make sure I'm also actively learning from my other classes, because those exams literally going to ask me like really minute things. And with doing OMM, you have to like remember what you're doing, and it's more of a technique. Like you're gonna get some like random, so for the practical you're gonna get some technique that you're gonna have to do, and you have to kind of walk the teacher or the TA through it. And so that's something you have to like do on a person, and you have to continue to try and do that on a person. You can't just like get up and go. Like it doesn't work like that, because I don't know, like studying with Anki and stuff, like you can only know so I don't know if this is making sense. You only can like memorize the steps in your head so much, and then you have to physically do it on a person. And so that's like completely different, because everyone's bodies are different, the tissues are different. Your orientation of your body while you're talking about how someone else should be moving, like say you need them to move their arm back and put it inferior, like you got to be able to tell them, okay, use your left, but you're standing on top of them and it looks like you're right, so you got to switch it in your head. And there's like way more things that an Anki card couldn't tell you about. So I'm trying to figure out what works best for me. Also the spacing out of the information. Like I can memorize something, I can tell you about it, but if I need it on Monday, I'm gonna focus on that. And if I need it on like Thursday, I'm gonna focus on something else until it like comes about. But it's not gonna be my first pass coming closer to the exam. It's going to be one of my like 4th or 5th passes through the material. So with that being said, thank you so much for watching this video. It's literally just me rambling, but I want to keep a log of, you know, my thoughts and how everything's going. And it's an adjustment to be in medical school. It's definitely an adjustment, but I'm loving it. It's really great. I was talking to my friend. She had flown in from school. No, her friend was getting engaged, and so they were having a little party, and she went home to like, you know, say hi to her friends. Like that's amazing. And she came back and she was like, wow, it's so different there. It's not like I had FOMO of leaving. Like I wanted to come back here. I found more or less like people who understand what I'm going through. Like medical school is a bunch of stuff. It's not necessarily hard, it's just a bunch of stuff, and you have to be on your game. Like 110% of the time. And so she was saying like, yeah, I don't know, I feel like this place is becoming to be home, and with that I'm gonna leave it just as she said. This place is becoming like my home. I have my friends, we always like have dinner together. It's so funny, like they're like, Camille, you're the mom, you're taking care of us, like you're always cooking, you're making sure like we have you know, all this stuff. I'm always like cutting fruits and vegetables. It's kind of funny. But with that being said, I think this first month of medical school has been a success. I would totally do it again. It's like so much to learn, and it's stuff that I really want to be learning. It's not like fluff, you know, in school you're learning fluff. I can only remember in biology we had to learn like random taxus and like the lineage of like animals and plants, and I was like, okay, I want to be a doctor though. I mean, with bacteria and stuff like that, like 100% we need to know it, but gorillas, money plants, I have my money plant right here. But with that being said, medical school is great. I didn't even do an intro, so let's try and do an intro. Thanks so much for coming along with me on this journey. I'm literally so excited to take you along. I'm gonna do better with vlogging. I'm gonna do better with my little sit downs and chit chats and things like that. And that's that. We're out.